Hi, Sophie, and welcome to your birth chart reading based off the visible sky. And a big happy birthday, happy solar return, turning 31 today. So, I do hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope abundance flows to you and prosperity and happiness and health and wealth throughout this entire year. But let's get into this birth chart reading. This is exactly how I do all my birth chart readings, and thank you for allowing me to put it on my YouTube as well. So, quick introduction. I obviously am on YouTube. I've got loads of videos, and as you can see, I've done loads of birth chart readings over the years, but they are all private. They're all private. I've got amazing reviews, but they're all private. So this one, I'm really glad I'm able to share it on my YouTube so people can see how it is, as my only visible ones are like Bitcoin and XRP. So yeah, if you don't know already, I do have a calendar available, and next year's one is coming out next month. So stay tuned for that. And as it is your birthday, I will be giving you a free digital copy of next year's calendar. So please make sure you email me so then I can email that to you when you are ready. Now, the app I am using is called Stellarium, and it looks like this. As I said, it's based off of the visible sky, this reading. So it's different to mainstream tropical astrology. We will be literally physically looking at where the stars, the luminaries were at the time of your birth. So if you were more attuned to mainstream tropical astrology, some of these placements may be different, or they will be different actually. And I feel it's important to have knowledge and awareness of both of them. Now, the reason I record it in this manner is very different compared to many other readers, is because I show you exactly on the app so you can have a go and play with the app yourself. And for anyone watching this, this is basically the version I do it. Now, I need to share my perspective of astrology so you can see where I'm coming from. I see light. I see us as light fractalized and intensified into matter. This fractalization of our light fractalizes into pretty much all of these star constellations that you can see. And where our light fractalizes to, this is where we spend most of our energy in our life. That's where we spend most of it. Now, even though we do fractalize into these different areas of these zodiacs in the sky, I always say astrology is a tool. It's nothing but a tool. Use the tool and don't let the tool use you. If you ever get to a point where you are using the tool more, like you're not even living your life without having to look at astrology, that means the tool is in control of you. Throw the tool away. Okay, use it as a tool to aid your life, not to control your life. And I see astrology ultimately as technology. It is a big part of the technology that keeps our hologramming. So ultimately it runs on autopilot. So this is why I also say use the tool. Don't let the tool use you. It runs naturally. It's part of the technology. And the main thing is to trust yourself. So that's my perspective of astrology. I just need to share that angle from you. I'm coming from a technical perspective of technology and how these energies function on autopilot. So, with that being said, it is going to be a long, detailed reading. The aim is to do it with 0 to no pauses. So we're just going to let things flow. Please take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And Everything will be time stamped, so you can go back to any point for as long as you wish, for however many years, days, months, decades, centuries. As long as YouTube is about, you can come back and it will be time stamped. So get comfortable. Make sure you have a cup of tea, glass of wine, or anything. Maybe not this early, but you know. So what we will be looking into in your reading, we will be looking at the lens which your ego operates through, being your sun sign. We'll take a look at your internal values and how your energy moves, being your moon sign. We'll take a look at your material values, being your Venus sign. We'll take a look at how you naturally exchange your energy, being your Mercury sign. We'll take a look at your natural passion and drive, being your Mars sign. We'll look at your natural expansion, being your Jupiter sign. We'll take a look at your natural discipline and structure, being your Saturn sign. We'll take a look at the area that can bring the most sudden change in your life, being your Uranus sign. We'll take a look at the depth of who you are and your strength, being your Neptune sign. We'll take a look at the area that will transform you into your most ideal version of you, being your Pluto sign. We'll take a look at your suppressed area, which is one of your strengths, being your Lilith sign. We'll take a look at the area where you've got the most fortune and prosperity, being your Fortuna sign. Again, we'll take a look at one of your wounded areas, being your Chrion sign, which again is one of your greatest strengths. And we'll take a look at the game codes that you put on when you enter this realm, being your rising sign. So that is the reading, and we'll go into the extended reading version as well, where we'll look at your inner child, so that your child sign. We'll take a quick look at your birthday numerology, so that will be 19 for you. We'll take a quick look at the numbers 1 and 9. And we'll take a look at your birth card of illumination. And what we'll do, we'll synchronize it all together. So if something probably doesn't make sense near the beginning, as we go deeper into your reading, we'll synchronize it all up together. Okay, so like I said, all of these places will be time stamped. So sit back, enjoy, relax, and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Right, so let's get into it fully. As you can see, you were born Saturday, November the 19th, 1994 at 4:40 in the morning, UK time. So to search for anything on the app, you just press the toggle and type it in. So we are going to take a look first at the lens which your ego operates through. And as you can already see, we've got Mercury and Venus quite close. But let's just focus on the sun. Oh, and you've got Jupiter there. You've got Jupiter in Libra. Okay, so the sun placement represents the lens which your ego operates through. So oftentimes on this journey called life, I know we have been taught a lot to suppress the ego. You know, the ego is often portrayed as something bad, but ultimately the ego is, I'd say, it's the shell that allows you to literally interact with your hologram. It's the lens which your ego operates through. So it is very important you often see things from this perspective of life. This is also how you naturally shine. It's how you naturally shine and stand out. The sun being a more masculine, it is how you naturally shine and how you perceive your reality. So with it being in Libra, what I'm seeing is you naturally shine in balanced relationships. That's how you naturally shine. You probably are all about having that balance in relationships. And the way this hologram would like to work, if something is very imbalanced, this would impact you quite a lot. You would feel that imbalance. It would, I'd say, be part of your mission, but part of what you feel to do most is to make that balance happen. It's like your ego, how you perceive reality, how you interact with things around you. Relationships play a big part, and it's having that balance in those relationships. So again, the way this hologram would strengthen that ability. I always like to say things from more of a positive angle, but the way the hologram would strengthen that ability is often bringing imbalance into your relationships, where you have the opportunity to create that balance. Now, you've got a lot of Libra in here, and something I always like to say, so because there are some more Libra placements, I'm going to just draw this now. So what I always say when it comes, okay, what is going on? Listen, why isn't it just drawing? Drawing a screen right, wrong thing. So when it comes to Libra, I always say this. Libra is a lot about balance. It's 100. Why is it so thin? We'll get the picture. Libra's a lot about balance, yeah. So Libra energy, oftentimes it comes from the ether, the mind, the ethereal. And from the ethereal, the mind, it comes out on the scales to be weighed. So whatever is in your mind, a thought about a relationship, especially because you've got Mercury there, but a thought about a relationship, a thought about even an idea, something in the ethereal, thought about work-life balance, for example. And the aim is it comes from the mind, and you need to create balance like that with it. Now, when it's imbalanced, you will feel it, you will know. And I always say, so even if this is relationships and people, you've probably got one person there. Sometimes that could be a person, or it could just be a thing. Not everything needs to be on your scales. That's a big part of what I'm going to say. Not everything needs to be on your scale. Sometimes things need to just be kicked off of the scale. Just kick it off, let it fall. That's them falling. Let it fall, whether it's a person or a thing, to focus on what truly deserves to be on your scales to make it balanced. So I feel part of like this Libra energy of creating these balance in your relationships and with even things. You will go through your life, or probably you've noticed already, where some things are workable, where you know they deserve to be on my scales, but there's also some people and things that don't even deserve to be there. So you'll often be operating through this energy of keeping these balance in your relationships. I'm seeing that people are a big part of your life. People are a big part. I know it's a part of many people's lives, but because it's in Libra, we've also got Mercury there and Jupiter. This is just naturally telling me that having these balances, working on these balances, are a big part of what your soul desires. So that's the lens your ego operates through anyway. Keep in mind that what I drew. Keep in mind what I drew, because I'll be going back to that when it comes to Mercury and so on and so on. But your ego operates through this lens. You shine naturally through creating these balances. So as we go further along, we're going to go to the opposite of the sun now. Before we tap into Mercury and everything, the opposite of the sun, not the sun, Kelita. There we go. Moon. So the moon represents your internal values. It is how it's the way your energy moves you. So the moon represents your emotions, what's internally valuable for you, which gets your energy in motion and moving. You then move and you then act, and then from what you act out, from how your energy has moved you, you then attract different things into your hologram, your personal hologram. So oh, okay. So it's a full moon. So this is telling me when the moon is illuminated, your emotions, your energy moves much more based off of gut feeling, intuition, and things of that nature. It is a full moon, so your energy doesn't, I'd say barely ever, move off logic or rational thinking. Is based a lot on your intuition, your gut feeling, your instincts. Your energy moves primarily on that. So that's really interesting. So the moon being feminine, how it gets your energy moving, it's within this Taurus energy, this Taurian energy. So based off a lot on gut feelings, intuition, and instincts, your energy moves a lot on your senses. So Taurus represents the material reality. It does fuel the second house. So again, your natural emotions, your natural energy moves a lot based around love and money. Love and money plays a big role in terms of how your energy gets in motion, as well as your senses. So the material reality moves your energy a lot based upon sight, taste, touch, hearing, smell, as well as intuition. Okay. Like for example, if you have the opportunity to, I don't know, be involved in an activity, and this you can reflect, see if this was a case even when you were growing up. If this activity was to, get you moving in a way where your senses are fully involved, something sensory, or either you're using your hands, something physical, senses, so you're not senses, smells, so you can smell something, your energy is put more in motion that way, literally through your senses being activated. And of course this does cover love and money as well. So when something, you may have, let's say certain money motivations, like for that stability, for the nicer things in life as well. So when it comes to that, that could get your energy pumping. You're like, okay, I'm I feel that this is right for me again, because it was a full moon. It would be a lot on like less logic and reason and more my gut is telling me to do this. To do this physical activity where I'm like using my hands, or to even move in a way where I'll generate money, which will allow me to experience and delve into my senses more, tasting these nice different foods and so on and so on. That's how your energy will naturally get moving without there being much blockages. Yeah, and it's these things that are your internal values as well. So these more physical material experiences is what is internally valuable for you. So some may not like the nicer things in life. Yeah, I do feel the way your energy moves you, you are quite content and happy with the nicer things in life. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. So, moving on to your material values now, which kind of amplifies this. Where was Venus? Didn't we spot it? Yeah, Venus is in Virgo. Okay, so Venus represents your material values. It's what you value within the material reality. Venus does also fuel Taurus, where your moon sign is. So Venus, again, it does cover your six senses: sight, taste, touch, hearing, smell. It basically represents what you find valuable in your hologram, in your material reality, which makes you want to use your six senses to interact with that thing. So, Venus is also your receptive mode. It is how you naturally can open up and receive. So, with it being in Virgo, Virgo is known as the maiden. Virgo does cover the sixth house, which is based on health as well. Yeah, she's known as the maiden, and in the mythology, she basically wanted to give her love so much that she wanted to make sure it was done right. So in order for her to give her love in the best and right way she possibly could, she left no stone unturned. She looked at every single detail. She done her research to make sure everything she was doing is right. So oftentimes the Virgo qualities is seen as very analytical and a bit stubborn at times, it could be. But this analyticalness, not like no this ability to notice everything and to research deep, is only because Virgo wants to give her love in that way. So when it comes to what I'm seeing, how you naturally open up and receive, is based a lot on detail. So I'm seeing like literally your cellular body will open up, will become relaxed. You'll step into your feminine energy more. When someone is kind of coming in a way, they're noticing all the details, all the smaller things. They've got like extensive research. Like if someone comes and they even, you know, whet your mind and they show you all the details, they acknowledge that all, and you notice this because you've got this Virgo energy, so you'd notice like, oh wow, they've paid attention to this. Then naturally your body will, your cells will relax and you'll be able to receive much more when whoever is giving pays attention to the details. Now also when it comes to like your material values, again, it goes a lot on the details. You need to know the details of things. You need to analyze it. When it comes to what you find valuable material wise, it's like there has to be a depth there. There has to be a reason for why you're doing it. There has to, I feel this is where the logic part comes in, because even though your emotions move a lot on gut feeling and so on and so on, the way your senses likes to interact with it, with things in your hologram, the way you naturally would like to interact with it because you find it valuable, you need to see the deeper aspect. You need to see that more logical perspective. Once your energy is pushed in motion, you're like, yeah, my senses want to experience these things. And then you want to interact with it more based on the depth you know of it, if that makes sense. So because Virgo is based on health, the sixth house, which is health, health may play a big role in your life as well. Health may play a big role in terms of what you want to use your senses, what you find valuable, and the reason behind certain health things as well. So I'm not gonna say, like, oftentimes if people's chart, especially if Ophiuchus comes up, then it's more alternative health things. But I feel it's just health in general, staying healthy and knowing the reason why you're doing it. The reason why you're doing it, the reason why you are even giving and opening up and receiving in that way. When it comes to love, you need to know the details. When it comes to even what you want to experience in your material reality, because Venus is about the senses, you want to know the details behind it. You want to look into it and analyze it, which I feel is a good skill. I feel your Venus being here is a lovely balance with your full moon being in Taurus. It's quite a nice balance. So Venus in the sky is the brightest star. She's very noticeable when she's out, so definitely keep an eye out for her when she's not close to the sun. She's very, very bright, and as we're in the winter months, she will be very noticeable soon. So do keep an eye out for her. So we're going to move now on to your Mercury, which is how you exchange your energy. So it's in Libra, as you can see. It's full on energy exchange. So that's the umbrella term. Now, under that umbrella, it represents how the energy exchange through your thought process, through communication, through how even your body communicates with itself if there's any form of dis-ease. It also represents monetary exchange as well. So it's how you exchange on a monetary level, but ultimately it's energy exchange. Now, Mercury is known as God's messenger from the gods. The reason there's 3, 2, 4 Mercury retrogrades every year is because it dances around the sun. It never gets too far away from the sun. It's basically messages back and forth from God, in a way, from a perspective. So with it being in Libra, the way, again, kind of amplifying your ego, the lens you operate through, you communicate literally the way you exchange your energy, the way you spend your money, exchange your energy, the thought process you have in your head is a lot to do with creating balance. Now, something I do want to point out is its location. As you can see, it is in Libra, but it's kind of on the cusp of Virgo as well. So this is basically at the 0 point. So this is quite potent because it's coming from 0 point energy. So the way you naturally communicate what I'm seeing, the way you naturally exchange your energy comes from, like, direct from 0 point energy. So this tells me, even when it comes to do with, I don't know, for me it confirms even more your, how can I put it, neutral perspective, even reasoning, like your thought process as well. It's connected to 0 point energy. So it's like, I feel when you naturally communicate, when you again allow yourself to fully trust the way your energy moves you, your moon's emotions, and when you naturally trust yourself to communicate, you just let things flow. it's coming from source itself. It's coming from source itself. So this kind of tells me even more I feel you're definitely on the side for creating that balance. Even in the way you speak to people, it's all about having that balance. It's not really about, like, you'll notice if the scales are imbalanced, that would feel discomforting for you. Again, amplifying how your ego operates through as well. So something I'll say here, especially if you talk and think in a way, your thought process is in a way of like, oh, when it comes to relationships, I really want to make this work, because you can potentially see how having this person or thing in your life and having balance with that will benefit you. I feel you may have had those type of experiences in your life where it's people where you don't want to let go of, or things you don't want to let go of. But again, the hologram would have presented like the inverse of that, where you need to work on creating or at least maintaining that balance, and also potentially knowing who doesn't or what doesn't need to be on the scale. But yeah, again, as Libra does fuel the 7th house, which is relationships, I feel you talk to, I'd probably say a lot of people. I won't say a lot of people, but the people who are in your life, you've got, I'd say maybe a handful of people who are an important part of your life, where it's important for you to withhold and maintain that balance, meaning you would use your Mercury technology would activate when you're like, this person's in my life, and they're a close friend or family. I'm going to put in that effort to keep that relationship up. I'm going to put in that effort to do my part in that relationship. That's the perspective I'm coming from. And even when it comes to your monetary exchange, Mercury is, you can look at your Mercury placement for this monetary exchange as well, like literally in terms of getting work around it. And Jupiter expands that, but being in Libra as well, we'll get to Jupiter. But you could literally, whether you have an entrepreneurial mind, we'll see that later on, but you could literally gain a monetary exchange through your relationships. Now, what does that mean? That could even be like, you've started a partnership, a business, or you could be at work and you partner up with someone, working with someone to increase that monetary value, creating a business around working with people and keeping that balance. So that's a potentiality there. So it would be interesting to know, of course, if this resonates or if it doesn't, but definitely only take what resonates, and we'll see. But yeah, that is Mercury. So we'll move on to the opposite of Venus now, which is Mars. So Mars is your natural drive and passion, okay? And it is the masculine version of Venus. So as Venus is how you can open up and receive, Mars is how you give. Mars is how you give. Mars, being the god of war, is literally that energy, that fire, that passion within you that will kind of get you up and take, like, say, I'm going to war, like you're passionate about it, basically. And it's how you give your energy as well. So it is in Leo. So Mars being fire and Leo being the second fire sign. Leo is very bold and confident. Leo is very bold and confident, yet this confidence and this boldness that Leo has is not an arrogant one. It's simply I am that I am energy. Leo, it literally comes from the heart center. It comes from the heart. So a Leo's energy is, I'd say it's more pure. It's more pure. The Leo's passion is very, very pure. It's very I am that I am, not an arrogant way. It's just, this is how I shine, and this is what it is. Like, if you just deep how a lion moves in the wild, it knows its territory. It knows it can take a stroll and yawn when it wants. And when it's ready to pounce, it's ready to pounce. So this is just the bold and confidence-ness of the Leo energy. There's natural passion in there. There's natural passion. There's just a natural shine, how a lion shines. So when it comes to your natural drive and your natural passion, I'm seeing you're quite confident in it and quite bold in it as well. Like, oh, I feel as we go further, we'll kind of deep more on what this passion is. But the way you go about your passion, for sure, once you know, you do it in this bold and confident way. Again, with how you give your love, you're not shy in giving. You're not shy, and you will happily, I'd say, broadcast that, show that, whether it is like showing love to your family, making them known. You're not shy about it. When it goes to tackling your passions, you're not shy about it. You know where you stand in it quite naturally. And again, it's like you do have this natural flame and desire. But especially when we take a look at some of your other placements, we'll see if anything may press it down. Oh, you've got caress there. Interesting. I don't really look into asteroids apart from a few, but just take note that caress is there. I'm sure that's to do with love, and it's in Cancer, so nurturing and growing something. Just keep a note of that. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing for your Mars. I feel as we go further, we can elaborate on Mars a bit more. Okay, but Mars in the sky does look this color. It does. There's only pretty much two that are this color that's noticeable by eye. So Mars is noticeable when it's out. So definitely keep an eye on that. So we're going to look at your Jupiter placement now. We know where Jupiter is. It's in Libra. So Jupiter is your natural expansion. Okay, Jupiter's main goal is to expand. That's it. It's not really biased in any way. It's not biased, meaning it can expand you in like a negative spiral down, or it can expand you in a positive spiral upwards or outwards, sideways. All it does is expand. So practical example, if you, I don't know, like an alcoholic, it can expand you in that way. Or if you're an over researcher, which helps you find some gems, it can expand you in that way. They're just examples. But the fact that Jupiter is in Libra along with your ego, your sun, and your Mercury, it's just telling me that this Libra energy, this relationships, or the relationships that are in your life, and working on that, again, it amplifies that. It's a big part of who you are. The people in your life are a big part of who you are. Now, because Jupiter is here and it does expand, there may have been some parts or times in your life where the expansion could have been the expansion of the scales being imbalanced. So this would have made you feel a bit more discomfort when there's imbalance in a relationship, as Jupiter can expand that as well. However, it can also naturally expand the balance in your relationships, making you naturally feel more full, more content, more satisfied, more like, yes, I truly see the value of having this balance in relationships. You truly see the value of it, as Jupiter naturally would have expanded, because you would have felt, instead of any discomfort from an imbalance, you would have felt the peace, like the harmony, just the fulfillment, like the soul fulfillment of creating this balance in your balances balance within your relationships. Now, keep in mind, for Mercury, for your ego, and for your Jupiter all being in Libra, this is, like, I'd say primarily about relationships, of course, but don't sleep on the relationship with yourself, your work life relationship, your relationship with your own projects, if you've got any, or you need the balance in everything. Even the balance of, like, healthy food, junk food, for example, exercising, working out, and things of that nature. Don't sleep on those balances as well, because the way you exchange your energy, the way your ego perceives these things, and Jupiter's there to expand it. Balance seems like it's important for you. Like, balance is important in everyone's life, but because it's this entire Libra energy, it's creating this balance from what you visualize and see in your head. The version you have in your head, what you're thinking about with your Mercury, how your ego perceives reality, how it should be for your ego. You need those balances from the version you see in your head, and you want to make that happen for it to be equal on the scale. And Jupiter here only magnifies that for you. It magnifies that, which just tells me as well, you also have more energy to make sure you've got balance in your relationships. You've also got the energy to acknowledge when something isn't balanced and it does need to go, because you can see it's not going to bring balance in your relationship. I feel you've got a good, I'd say, intuition, a good knowing on who and what deserves to be on your scales. Remember the picture I drew? So just remember, remember that. So that is your Jupiter. Jupiter in the sky is not the brightest star, because Venus is, but when Venus isn't out, Jupiter's the brightest star. So it's very noticeable when it's not near the sun. So moving on to the opposite of Jupiter now, which is Saturn. So Saturn represents your natural discipline and structure. Now you're 1994, baby, like me. So the rest of these placements, up until we get to Lilith, will be similar to what I have as well. So Saturn represents father time. So from my perspective, Saturn's rings play a part in the technology that creates our hologram, and we reside within Saturn's rings. We reside within father time. So because of this, Saturn is like the area where you're disciplined and structured in, or where you have the opportunity to be disciplined and structured in. Oftentimes Saturn, being that father figure, likes to see that you've been consistent, you've been disciplined, and you've got structure within. It would be this area of your life, being Aquarius. And in seeing that, oftentimes when it's our Saturn return, when we're turning from 29 to 30, Saturn then releases his grip, not so strict, not so, uptight. Is one of it's not one of the most easiest energies to work with, because you have to show up for this energy. But with Saturn being in Aquarius, Aquarius is known as the water bearer. It is an air sign, even though it's got a picture of water. It's an air sign. And oh gosh, yeah, it's an air sign. I just had a thought, sorry. But Aquarius is an air sign. It fuels the 11th house, so it's a lot to do with networking, kind of getting out there, talking. It's a lot to do with Aquarius is fueled by Uranus, which we're going to get into after this, but it has the ability to create sudden change. And it's very entrepreneurial, it's very unique in thinking and so on. And oftentimes, because it does have the picture of water, in this uniqueness, in this entrepreneurial mindset, in this in these unique ideas, it's often something you want to give back. You're pouring back into other people to help people. So what I'm kind of seeing here is that you may have an entrepreneurial mind. You may have a unique idea. You may have been working on that unique idea. Even if this is to do with talking, it could just be to do with talking. It could be your own physical product or business. But you've been working on something and being consistent on something where you've wanted to give back in a certain way. You've wanted to give back. You've had, like, you would have had to keep showing up for this particular idea that you've got, potentially a unique idea. You would have had to been disciplined and consistent in it. But it's something where you want to, where it would be helpful for other people. So this is quite interesting. I do feel like, your drive and passion being Mars, your Saturn being here in Aquarius. You've spent a lot of time, because Saturn is Father Time, you've spent a lot of time on a unique idea where you want to give back. Now, because Saturn is here, it may have felt at times like it's not moving, it's not working. Like, this is really what I'd want to do, but it's not really working. I feel it would have something to do with relationships, personally. But I could be wrong. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I feel it has something to do with relationships, something to do with people. This unique idea which you've potentially been working on, or aiming to be consistent at, having this thought, working on the discipline and structure. And you would have gone through your Saturn return, so you probably saw some results, some progress. You might have seen some things already, and it may have been like a big increase at some point, or like a release, like, oh wow, this is actually working, what I've kind of put in. Even if it might be slow, you probably could have seen something as you've kind of been through your Saturn return, or pretty much like the end of it now. So if you have been working on something, spending a lot of time, like, naturally on a unique idea, on something that you've wanted to give back, potentially around relationships, and your drive and passion for this, you may be sharing it in a bold way, or going at it in a confident way, because you recognize this is what you're about, if you know what I mean. So this is where we're starting to synchronize things together. But yeah, I feel, again, will synchronize more as we move along. But Saturn in the sky, you can see Saturn. It's very dull. Oftentimes it's dull, but at times it does like to twinkle and sparkle. So keep an eye out for Saturn. It is noticeable. It's the last luminary that you can see in the sky with your visible eye. Beyond that, you need like a telescope. So like it's the furthest one away. Confirmation burp. Anyway, let's move on to Uranus. So from Saturn upward, all of those luminaries are pretty much noticeable. People in your life could have noticed these traits about you, like externally. Now, from Uranus down, these are more internal. Okay, so pretty much only you or close people would pretty much be able to identify these. You wouldn't really be able to see it like so openly. But Uranus, anyway, represents the area that can bring about the most sudden change in your life. And as you can see, we've got Neptune right there, the opposite. So Uranus is known as father of electricity. So Saturn is father time, Uranus is father of electricity. And in this father of electricity, I'm sure it's linked to Pluton. Is it 94 on a periodic table? There's some plutonic qualities in there. So it can bring about this electric change, this sudden change in your life. So essentially operating within this Sagittarius energy can bring about this sudden change. And I feel this is where the more synchronization will come in now. Things are starting to click in my head. But you being in this Sagittarius energy can bring about this sudden change in your life. So Uranus, again, it's not one of the most easiest luminaries to work with, because this sudden change can be disruptive. However, this sudden change comes in when the destruction, is for the old to be broken away. The old needs to break away in order for this new change to come in. So this can happen at small little intervals throughout your entire life, and there can be bigger moments as well where you being in this Sagittarius energy can activate that sudden change and bring you closer to the version of yourself you see yourself becoming. So Sagittarius is known as the centurion. It is very mysterious, being half horse and half man. So it does cover the ninth house, It covers the ninth house, which is based on philosophy, having your own philosophy. It does cover travel as well. It also covers precision. Sagittarius being the most mature fire sign, it knows exactly where it wants to go. It knows exactly where it wants to go. Why? Based off of its own philosophy. As it's got its bow and arrow, and in this whole philosophical phase in your life, you may feel at times you're going backwards, but just imagine the bow and arrows being pulled back, and you may feel that, but it's to get the precision, and then you catapult to where you're going. So it does cover travel as well, but it's based a lot around your entire philosophy. So, and this philosophy can be higher education. So you could have gone down that route, having a higher education like university, masters, so on. But it also covers the mystical philosophies of life as well. So the things that are a bit more hidden, as it is a centurion. So the mystery is there as well. And it's about developing your own philosophy on that. Now, when it comes to travel, the travel that you do may deepen your philosophy. So you may be curious about going to places where you can deepen your philosophy, your own personal philosophy, whether that is to do with normal higher learning, like higher education, or based around things that are mystical. But you being within this energy of research, again, analyzing, developing that philosophy that's inside of you, which will develop your precision on where you're aiming to go in life. It will develop your mature fire. So going again from your Mars being in Leo, which is a more mature fire than like an Aries fire, but it still has more maturity to go. Is that's like a lot more to do with passion, what you're just naturally passionate about, like that's just what you're doing as your Mars is there. Yet you've got the deeper element of like a mature fire. So behind that passion, what deepens that passion is your own philosophy, which strengthens that. Yeah. So again, synchronizing this with even your Venus being in Virgo, it being in the sixth house, health plays a part in that. So even your philosophy, developing your philosophy around health, and how you even like tapping into like, oh, my philosophy around how I open up and receive things of that nature, as your Venus is in Virgo, can activate this electric charge, which can bring about sudden change in your life and bring you closer to your goal. So I do feel, even when it comes to like Mercury, going back to Mercury and Jupiter, because you can look at these aspects on potentially, and Virgo, no, not Virgo, Venus, on how to get like monetary exchange. Again, I feel it has a lot to do with, especially because Neptune is here, your own philosophy. So your own philosophy on how to get this monetary exchange based on relationships. So again, you developing your own philosophy on that, developing your precision on where you'd like to go within these relationships can activate this sudden change. Now going on to Uranus's opposite being Neptune. So Neptune represents the deepest depths of who you are. Neptune is a powerful, like a sleeping giant type of energy. Neptune is based a lot around your intuition. It's very feminine. It's based around your intuition, gut feelings, your visions, your dreams when you sleep. Literally your dreams when you sleep, as well as your waking dream as well. So the dreams you'd like to tap in and achieve. Neptune's often classed as very delusional because it's a water sign. But why is it delusional? Because Neptune sees the possibility to tune in to any frequency. It literally has the word tune in there. Its symbol is a fork. Symbol is a tuning fork, like literally Poseidon's trident. And it has the ability, because it's in the waters, it knows every single frequency is possible and available. This is the delusion, because it knows. Okay, it knows. And it knows you can literally attune yourself to any frequency wavelength you choose. And in order to do that, delusion needs to be there. And you can tap into that delusion based off of your intuition, your gut feelings, and so on and so on. Your internal navigation guiding system, basically. So Neptune represents the depth of who you are, because it knows on a, like literally on a water level, like literally a water level, who you want to attune yourself to be. It knows this. And Delulu is the Salulu sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So you just have to trust your Delulu, trust that any dreams, visions that you may have, especially because your emotions, your energy moves you based off of gut feelings and intuition anyway. So Yeah, but with Neptune being here in Sagittarius, all of what I said with Uranus, the depths of who you are plays a big role in your own personal philosophy. It plays a big role in your matured passion and the full direction you want to go in life. Your philosophy plays a big role, like it really does. So you knowing, even if some people may think, oh, that's not possible, that how are you gonna, they're not really gonna say how are you gonna attune yourself to that frequency. They don't use that language. It's just more like, how are you even gonna do that? That's not possible. They can't really see it, but you see it. So if you have a delusional plan that is based around something you've looked kind of deep into, and you've created your own knowing of it, not understanding, because we're not standing underneath anything, but your own knowing of it. You've looked at it and you're coming from a philosophical perspective. That's a big part of who you are naturally. Your philosophy creates, I guess, how you interact with the hologram. So attuning yourself to that and trusting, like, yes, this is my philosophy. You can tap into these frequencies, and again, sudden changes, because Uranus is right there as well. Sudden changes will come in. You tapping into the depth of who you are, trusting your inner guidance system, can literally, I'd say, even catapult. Like I said, you may feel like you've come back a bit on the pull, but you have the ability to just catapult once knowing your own philosophy and sticking to that. Tapping into your natural drive and passion to bring about that philosophy in a bold and confident way. Like, this is who I am, what I am about. Yeah. Health may play a role, as your Venus is in Virgo, the 6th house, but that is Neptune. Anyway, we're going to move on to Pluto, the area that can transform you to your ideal version of you. So as you can see, it is in Libra, but it is actually on the cusp of Serpens and Ophiuchus. Okay, so it does say Libra. However, I like to look at exactly where it is, and we can clearly tell. We'll say it's cusp energy, but this is clearly in Serpens, clearly, which is part of Ophiuchus. So we're going to synchronize them all together. So Pluto represents it's the luminary that can transform you to your ideal version of you. It's a very slow moving luminary, like it's in one sign for like 10, 12 years. So it's very slow moving. But ultimately, this slow moving transformation is how you just transform. Pluto is known as the god of the underworld. So it brings messages back and forth, literally from the underworld. So this is where it's like death and rebirth type of vibes when it comes to Pluto energy. It transforms you, like, entirely. Slow moving, but it transforms you. It's not biased. Again, it's really not biased. It's like, oh, you want this, you want to attune yourself to this frequency, you want to be there. Right, let's do it. So the way the hologram works is it will bring experiences to you that offer an opportunity, I like to say an opportunity, to transform you. That may come across challenging at times, etc., etc. But it offers the opportunity for us to grow and expand, which helps us to, of course, transform little by little into the version we're ready to be. So it's saying Libra. So again, you're naturally going to transform through relationships. Relationships is a given. This is how you're going to, like, bit by bit, gradually by gradually, and you've possibly already noticed it now, how you're going to, or have been, transforming into the version you see yourself becoming. But what I love about this is the fact that it is clearly near Serpens and Ophiuchus, but more so Serpens. So Ophiuchus is one star constellation, which is part of Serpens. No, Serpens is part of Ophiuchus, basically. So Serpens can be separate, but Ophiuchus is both of them together. So either way, it's kind of like the same thing. But it's important that, it's interesting that it's here, because Serpens is the snake. So even part of the Ophiuchus energy, the snake part is that healing and transmutation of energy. If you look at the symbol of, like, the hospital symbol, like the OG hospital symbol, it's got the snake on there, like, for naturally healing and transmutating energy. A snake sheds its whole entire skin and there's a shell left behind, because it literally transforms. So how I am seeing this is, you literally have this whole death and rebirth through the different relationships you have in your life. And not only the relationship itself, but how you transform through that relationship, how that relationship actually transforms. So for example, this kind of, it's telling me even more, again, people relationships are a big part of your life. With Pluto being here, this is telling me that the relationships may have been challenging. You may have had some challenging relationships in your life, because the hologram likes to bring the opportunity for growth and expansion. However, these relationships that came with the challenges offer the opportunity to heal and transform yourself and potentially them as well. Like, the relationship becomes transmuted. And that is naturally how you grow, or, expand into the version of yourself you want to be, one that you want to be. So again, you may even have your own philosophy based off of how certain relationships work, having that right balance. And then the hologram will present the opportunity for you to even live out your philosophy. You living out your philosophy, Neptune, attune into that frequency. You living out that philosophy, your drive and passion about it is in this bold, confident way. Like, you're not shy to hide away. You're gonna say, this is how I see it happening. You're not going to be shy about it, basically. If you love someone, want to make it work, you're not going to be shy about it. That's friendship, family, partner. And you're given the opportunity then to heal and transmute that relationship, that entire relationship, going about it bold, confidently, trusting your instincts, having that idea in your head, your own philosophy on how this should work. You actively doing that will not only transform the relationship, but it will transform you as well. Yeah. People play a big role in your life. Anyway, so we're going to take a look at, I don't even know the time, because it doesn't show the time. I just let things flow. And there we go. So Lilith represents your suppressed area in your life, but it's one of your strengths. So Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, the mythology, she's based on Adam's first wife. She basically said, fuck this shit, grew her wings, flew away. So that's like the short version. You can check out more versions online on, like, her backstory, but that's basically it. So energetically, it represents what we are truly passionate about, but but the hologram, life, people around us or whatever are trying to suppress that from happening. Now, I always say when it comes to this one is that it is an illusion. So when you're being suppressed in that certain area, it's an illusion. The holograms keep making, like, planting illusions to make you not live out the very thing you're passionate about. This is deep passion when it comes to Lilith. So essentially, when you know you're being suppressed in that area, push through the illusion and your soul will be content. So again, this is telling me that even when it comes to your Neptune and your Uranus, because Lilith is here in Sagittarius as well, it is telling me based around your philosophy that you may have been trying to develop for years, like maybe over a decade, working at something. The hologram would have tried to create illusions. Yeah, would have tried to create illusions to kind of maybe stop you or to doubt your own philosophy. So I will just say when it comes to Lilith, trust your own philosophy. Trust it. Okay? Trust it. You've got some Virgo qualities there, so you do have the ability to, of course, and the Sagittarius qualities anyway, to have that deeper look and analytical skills regardless. So when it comes to your own philosophy, when you know that that's the case, it doesn't matter whatever the hologram is presenting from any single person, trust your philosophy. Trust the mature fire and flame you have within you, and trust the direction you're ready to go, because you've got precision there. Within your own philosophy, you've got the precision. So definitely trust it and don't let anyone or anything hold you back. Yeah, definitely don't. Definitely don't, because people like to do the most. So moving on to your fortune. So this is basically your fortune. Oh, we had your caress there as well. So Fortuna literally represents the area which can bring fortune and prosperity into your life. So as you can see, it's sat right there in Cancer. Now Cancer fuels the fourth house, which is based around home and family. So Cancer being the crab, it's a water element. There's water in here. But Cancer being the crab has a lot of love to give. It's fueled by the moon. So again, I'd say you allowing your energy to move in certain ways about wanting to experience your senses to experience certain things. Definitely trust that is naturally going to bring fortune to you anyway. But being in this Cancer energy of protecting, the ability to protect, as the crab has a hard shell and pinches, being in the energy of the ability to protect yourself and your loved ones and things that you love. And in protecting that, you're protecting them. You're also growing and nurturing yourself, people you love, things that you love, as the crab has the soft inside. So it's very soft, very nurturing. So you essentially being in this nurturing energy, this energy is like, yep, this is something I love and value. So I'm going to protect it and I'm going to grow and nurture it. I'm going to pour into it, give my time to tend to it. You being in that energy will naturally bring you fortune and prosperity. And because it does fuel home and family, this is telling me you pouring into your home and family will naturally bring you fortune and prosperity. And again, because you've got a lot of Libra energies based on all relationships, it's also an extra synchronization saying growing and nurturing and pouring into those relationships and protecting them will bring fortune and prosperity. And also knowing what to keep out and to pinch, like hard shell pinch away, will bring you that fortune as well. So yeah, grow and nurture it. Even I'm going to say grow and nurture your philosophy. Nurture it, grow it. It will bring you that fortune and prosperity. So with we done fortune. So this now is a wounded area in your life, and it's Chiron. So this is Chiron. Oh, Virgo. It represents a wound that you've had in your life, depending on what you subscribe to. It could have been in a past life if you subscribe to that, or it could have been your early years in life, in this lifetime. Depends on what you subscribe to. I personally like to just look at life now, though I do acknowledge both. So essentially, there was a point in either a past life or your early childhood where you was in this Virgo energy, and you being in it, you were wounded, you received a wound from operating in this energy, which is interesting. So we're going to go back to Venus. But you received a wound. So again, it makes you now in this lifetime or your your adult years to be a bit more hesitant to go in that area, to operate in that area, because of this wound that you've received previously. So so this does tell me, even when it comes to your Venus, as it's in Virgo as well, you may have had like a wound, I wouldn't say a wound, may have been hurt in an area where you were meant to receive, to open up and receive, which may have brought like situations where you found it a bit more difficult to open up and receive from people. Again, it would be relationships, possibly partnerships, because there's a wound here. You literally operating in this energy of Virgo, of like, yeah, being a bit analytical, might be a bit critical, because that's part of Virgo, but ultimately it's because she wants to give her love in the best way possible. So you're going to look at everything. But doing this at some point in your life caused a wound. However, though this is a wound, that again is another illusion. Break through the illusion. That hesitant feeling that you may get is another illusion. You breaking through that, because Chiron is the key. Like, it literally, the symbol is, oh, Jimmery crickets. The symbol is literally, it just looks like this. I don't know what was going on there. It's literally like a key. So this is a big key, a big part of your soul, your coding. It is giving your love in the best way possible. So it does mean fully looking at everything, because you see, it could even have been a situation where, because you didn't look at everything, you didn't analyze everything, and then you got a wound there. But either way, or you did analyze everything and still got a wound. So you may be hesitant in that area. You may be even hesitant to open up and receive at times, even if someone kind of shows all the details, shows that they're really listening. It may trigger something in you at some point. Yeah, ultimately, this Virgo energy, even health, I don't know if that was something that kind of came up for you in your life, anything to do with health. But this Virgo analytical energy is the key. So whether you feel like it's difficult to receive at times, because, it might have reflected on someone from the past. Or if you feel like, oh, maybe I'm saying too much, maybe I'm looking into it too much, maybe I shouldn't think like this much about it. If you really try and talk yourself out of it, you're kind of feeding into that wound. But being in the Virgo energy of just accepting, you like to look at the details. When you're being given the details of things, you naturally open up and receive. You can relax when things are looked through properly. And again, I feel that it's just such a good balance anyway, because your moon, your emotions naturally move you based off a lot of gut feeling and intuition. So having this element where you have the like, okay, got to look at this logically now, is a good balance. It is a good balance. So yeah, that is your Chiron. That's your Chiron. We are now going to take a look at the game coat that you put on when you come into this realm. Make sure I've got it all right. Yes. So to find your rising, we just put on the landscape as I did just then. And we just scoot along until we see, did I miss it? The sign that's rising. No, I didn't. Here we go. So you are a Virgo rising. You're Virgo rising, love. So this is the game coat that you put on when you enter in this realm. It's the energies you learn to become. So again, I find this very interesting that Chiron is there, like it's a wound, past energy where you were hurt. So it's like naturally your soul is tapping into like, okay, I'm learning to tap into these energies again. So this highlights even more when it comes to relationships, because you've got a lot of Libra energies there. Yeah, because you're rising as well as your Venus and Chiron with a hint of Mercury, because it's on the cusp, is in Virgo. You're really learning these Virgo energies, which again is telling me that, okay, the hologram would have potentially given you, I'd say, opportunities which may appear challenging for you to learn to tap into this Virgo energy even more. So I will say definitely trust yourself. Trust yourself if you naturally like want to look deep into something, want to question things. Even just ask why was that done? Like because you're trying to understand someone else's, or you're trying to know someone else's perspective on why they did what they did. You want to leave no stone unturned. So definitely trust yourself. The hologram will give you opportunities after opportunities to deepen this skill. Again, health. I feel health plays a role. Health plays a role. There could even be an aspect of like relationships through health, healing through health, as your Pluto's there, like transformation. And because it's close to serpents, it could be alternative health as well. So like I mentioned earlier, like health could be there, but I'm not sure if it's alternative because like Ophiuchus needs to be in the mix, or Pisces. But yeah, I do feel that the hologram is just giving you these opportunities. You're learning to step into this coding of life. And because again Chiron is there and you're learning these things, it's just telling me that the details you give, especially when it comes to relationships, it's something you're learning. It's something you're learning. So I'm just gonna say trust yourself. Just trust yourself. You need to trust yourself. You need to look at every single angle when it comes to health, when it comes to how you want to give your love to your friendships, family, friends. And don't allow anyone to say that you're overthinking, because your coding just needs to look at everything to fully know what's going on. You're learning it. You may be a bit hesitant at times. The hologram giving illusions because Chiron is there, for you to, not go as deep as you want. But just ignore that, because literally, as you're learning to become this, you also naturally open up and receive when someone is giving you this energy in another way. So I will say, probably stick it, like, acknowledge your life. Is there anyone who's like a Virgo and you kind of open up more? No, they don't have to be a Virgo, but having Virgo qualities, because it could be their Mars sign, for example. You may open up much, much more. But again, because this is based off the visible sky, it's kind of just knowing both astrologies, or having awareness of both and seeing. But yeah, that is basically your reading, Sophie. But we're doing the extended reading for you as well. So what I've done just there is the normal standard reading where we synchronize it all together. And this short extended reading now, we look into, I don't like the landscape there. I like it like this because we can like do this. It looks so cool. Anyway, we're going to look at your inner child, your birth card of illumination, and then finish on your birthday numerology. Just the 1 and the 9. So, your child, as you can see, it's in Sagittarius. It says Sagittarius, but just looking at it, it's kind of like on the cusp of all three. Kind of like on the cusp of all three. Definitely more like the cusp of Capricorn and Sagittarius. It's interesting because I entered this realm in May 1994, but child was in Aquila, so it's kind of moved from Aquila to go to anyway. Child represents your inner child, quite literally. You tapping into or acknowledging where your child is. Confirmation verb, you can co-create with your inner child. Like when people say, oh, co-create, this is one aspect you could do it. So it's picking up again Sagittarius, but also Capricorn. I'm gonna say it may even have the hints of Aquila. It's like on the cusp of all three. So I'm gonna say co-creating with your inner child is a part of, again, strengthening and knowing your own philosophy. Having that is co-creating and pleasing for your inner child. Having that natural, like, fire, flame, maturity, and on where you want to go in life is pleasing for your inner child. And I'm going to say your philosophy, direction, based on like a long-term foundation and stability, Capricorn energy. So again, this kind of tells me, because it speaks to your inner child, something about your own philosophy and the direction you want to go. There's long-term stability in there, which I'm seeing you'd like to create. Because Capricorn is about foundations and stability. And I feel, because it is picking up a little bit of this Aquila as well, this is the eagle. It's literally the eagle in the sky, which likes to soar and fly. So your own philosophy, direction in life, based around like creating stability around the philosophy and direction, like focusing on a long-term goal, then your inner child is just flying. Like, it will make you feel like you're flying, creating a whole entire foundation based on your philosophy. So it's so important, again, as Lilith is there in Sagittarius, trying, like the hologram, trying to suppress your philosophy is vital. It can create foundations. It can create foundations. And I feel a lot of it is to do with relationships. It would be interesting if you got some sort of business around relationship, or a product around relationship or something like that. Or if that's your work, it would be interesting to know. But that's what I'm seeing with your child. And we're going to read now your birth card of illumination. So, every day of the year has a birth card associated with it. So 19th of November, November 19th, yours is the Ace of Clubs. So we're going to just read it. We're going to have a read, and then we'll synchronize it with your chart, and we'll finish on the 1 and the 9, the numbers. So the desire for knowledge accompanied by the desire for love. 2 of Hearts Karma card are the main ruling influences for this card. Combine these together and you have a person who is a student of love as much as one who would find their ideal mate. This card is known for promiscuity, but this is only true until they find the person of their dreams. They would rather be with anyone than be alone, but will not give themselves fully until the right person comes along. Like all aces, they are impatient and restless. Their curiosity leads them to be avid students with immense libraries. Is that libraries? Anyway, they are very smart and can use their brains and creativity to generate ample funds. They can make money in things associated with the arts or groups of women. Their later years will not be satisfactory unless they turn to spiritually for guidance. They are the divine discontent card and need to travel and changes in life and their work to satisfy both their desires for knowledge and their inner restlessness. So all of this I do find quite interesting. So as it says, it's got travel, the need to travel. So this comes up a lot with the Uranus, even Lilith, Neptune, and your child being in Sagittarius, that need to travel, like it's literally there. It also got you can make money with things associated with the arts or groups of women. So it's like people being up in there as well. Money, like Mercury was by Libra, Jupiter there to expand that too. And Venus being of beauty anyway, you can look at that for a bit of monetary exchange. Like arts, that's beauty, that would be Venetius, and of course women Venetius as well. So with Saturn being in Aquarius, you can use your brains to generate ample funds, like I said, with the Saturn releasing the grip thing. It's like it has that opportunity. Being in Aquarius is this business mind where these funds can overflow. And again, it's like it's the desire for love. So a lot of the Libra energies, I know I didn't fully mention like a lot about actual relationships, like romantic. But it does seem like, even when I says I feel like a lot of relationships would come in your life where it would be challenging and you'd have to balance it out. So that could have been maybe a lot more romantic relationships than not. However, I do feel it was all, but definitely romantic. It's like it's creating that balance, and when you see that that balance isn't there, you move on. Yeah, it's a lot to do around relationships. It would be interesting, especially if you possibly like were with someone and then that like just didn't work out? Like, have you been alone a lot? Because it says that you'd rather be with anyone than alone, but you won't give themselves fully until the right person comes along. So again, that's interesting. It tells me with Venus being in Virgo, you how you open up and receive, but then because Chiron is there in the area where you would open up and receive, you wouldn't open up fully, of course, until it's the right person. There's a lot of relationships in your life, so you could have had a lot of different partners as well until you've got to the right one where you can literally open up and receive, where that wound isn't feeling like a wound anymore, Chiron, of like, oh, I can't accept things to this depth, or I shouldn't expect all the attention to detail, but that's basically who you are. So I would just trust that. Yeah, fascinating. Have a read of that anyway. That will be linked below so you can find it and come back to it when you're ready. And just to finish off, we have just our simple birthday numerology. So this is just a touch on the numerology. So we're just looking at the 1 and the 9. So the 1 and the 9. And how this all links in. So first of all, adding it together, it does make 10. So naturally, that's the binary code. This goes back to me with especially Mercury being at 0 point energy, being on that cusp. Even your inner child, your child being on that cusp of 3, which is the binary code, 0 and 1, 0 and 1s. So naturally, like the day you've came out, like quite literally, you've got the base code, like the base code to create your reality. Now just looking at the 1 represents structure. So it represents structure, represents anchoring, represents leadership. So in essence, imagine we're in darkness and the energy of the 1 is that structure, that foundation that allows energy to travel around it. Without that structure, without that leadership, that like literally the base and foundation, where are things gonna go? So this is telling me that it links with your Mars being in Leo, being that confident. You have that structure and foundation, and you know where you want your light to propel and to shine out naturally. Along with the 9, we've got as above, so below. So that's the 6, this is the 9, but you've of course got the 9 energy. So the 6 takes like from the ethereal and brings down into the material, and the 9 has a lot of ethereal energy within it. We'll get rid of the 6, we don't need it. The 9 has a lot of ethereal energy within it, and it anchors that ethereal energy into the hologram, into it. So it's kind of just telling me you naturally have the ethereal wisdom that you need to bring down and anchor into the earth, as well as where you want your light to go, where you want your structure to be, so your energy can flow around that. And in both of them, so knowing where the structure is, taking your ethereal wisdom and anchoring it down, you literally got the base code of existence. So you're powerful. I will say you are powerful. Like powerful. You bring your ethereal wisdom down. And it goes back to Libra when I says Libra looks like this. your ethereal mind. What are you bringing down? You literally have the coding within you to do that. From the ether, you literally create. And you know the direction you want your energy to go. That's all the Sagittarius energy as well. So that's what I am seeing for your birth chart, Sophie. That's what I am seeing. So yeah, to summarize, I'm seeing a lot of relationships play a big role. Relationships play a big role. Your idea that you want, what you want to create and bring out about relationships based on your own philosophy, and doing that in a bold and confident way, where you can grow and nurture it, will just be also pleasing for you. Also pleasing for you based on your own philosophy, taking a look at the deeper things, all angles, all perspectives, all details, so you know how to give your love and yourself properly. So all I'm going to say is definitely trust yourself. Trust yourself. Do let me know if this resonates or not. And ultimately, my entire intention with this reading was for you to see yourself on a deeper level so you can trust yourself more. That's it. That's it. Make sure, use the tool, don't let it use you. But definitely trust your own philosophy. Trust how you see life. Trust the depths you like to go. Trust the details you love to look at. Trust the things you're ready to grow and nurture, because it's literally all part of your coding. But yeah, I intend that you have a wonderful 31st birthday. And I intend that this was insightful for you in some way or somehow. I've not even seen the time, so it's like 1 hour and 41 minutes. Okay, I just let things flow. I let things flow. But thank you. I intend this benefits you in somehow. And for anyone else watching this, and if you've got this far, thank you for getting this far to the end of the video. I aim to offer at least maybe 2 free readings a month. But if anyone would like one where you'd like to keep it private, just let me know. The details will be down below. But if you are open for it to be shared on my YouTube, then there will be 2 free readings being offered a month. But thank you. And with that being said, Angel out. Bye.